Assalamu alaikum and greetings to you from Salim bin Mohammed Raffi, your host. To all my viewers, switched on now to Zamir Universal. Now I am going to uh, present to you audio form of English translation of the Holy Quran, Juz number 2 or Para 2, which is Sayyakul, which have only one surah, and that is Surah Al Baqarah, which is surah number 2 in the Holy Quran. And ayat in this surah, which are in this particular portion or juz or para of the Holy Quran, are between 142 to 252 ayat. Total number of the ayat in this para, therefore, are 111. And this is how the ayat 142 starts. The foolish among people will say, what has made them turn away from their Qibla? Say, the east and the west are Allah's. He guides whom He will to the right path. And thus we have made you a just nation so that you may testify against mankind and that your own apostle may testify against you. We decreed your former Qibla only in order that we might know the apostle is true. Adherents and those who were to disown him. It was indeed a hard test, but not to those whom Allah guided. He was not to make your faith fruitless. He is compassionate and merciful to men. Indeed, we see you look repeatedly towards heaven. We will make you turn towards a Qibla that will please you. So turn your face towards the sacred mosque wherever you are. Turn your faces to it. Those to whom the book was given know this to be the truth from their Lord. Allah is watching over all their actions. But even if you gave those to whom the book had been given every proof, they would not accept your Qibla, nor would you accept theirs, nor would any of them accept the Qibla of the other. If after all the knowledge you have been given, you yield to their desires, then you will surely become an evildoer. Those to whom we gave the book know him as they know their own sons, but some of them deliberately conceal the truth. The truth is from your Lord, therefore never doubt it. Earth, each one has a goal towards which he turns. So evaluate one another in good works, and wherever you be, Allah will bring you all before Him. He has power over all things. Whichever way you depart, face towards the sacred mosque, this is surely the truth from your Lord. Allah is never heedless of what you do. Whichever way you depart, face towards the sacred mosque, and wherever you are, face towards it, so that men will have no plea against you except the evil doers among them. Have no fear of them, fear me, so that I may perfect my favor to you and that you may be rightly guided. Indeed, we have sent forth to you an apostle of your own people who will recite to you our revelations and purify you of sin, who will instruct you in the book and in wisdom, and teach you that of which you have no knowledge. Remember me, then I will remember you. Give thanks to me and never deny me. O believers, seek assistance in patience and prayer. Allah is with those that are patient. Do not say that those who are slain in the cause of Allah are dead. They are alive, although you are not aware of them. We shall test you with some fear and hunger, with loss of life and property and crops. Give good news to the patient who is at adversity say, we belong to Allah and to Him we shall return. On such men will be Allah's blessing and mercy. Such men are rightly guided. Safa and Marwa are beacons of Allah. It shall be no offense for the pilgrim or the visitor to the sacred house to walk around them. He that does good of his own accord shall be rewarded by Allah. Allah is rewarding and knowing. Those that hide the clear proofs and the guidance we have revealed after we have proclaimed them in the book shall be cursed by Allah and shall be cursed by the cursers, except those that repent and mend their ways and make known the truth towards them shall relent. I am the relenting one, the merciful. The infidels who die unbelievers shall incur the curse of Allah, the angels and all people. Under it they shall remain forever. Their punishment shall not be lightened, nor shall they be given respite. Your Lord is one God. There is no God but Him. He is the compassionate, the merciful. In the creation of the heavens and the earth, in the alternation of light and day, in the ships that sail the ocean, with what is beneficial to man, in the water which Allah sends down from the sky, and with which He revives the earth after its death, dispersing over it all manner of beasts in the movements of the winds and in the clouds, and are driven between earth and sky. Surely in these there are signs for people who understand. Yet there are some who worship other objects besides Allah, bestowing on them the adoration due to Allah, and the love of Allah is stronger in the faithful. But if they face their punishment, the wrongdoers will know that might is His alone and that Allah is stern in retribution. Seeing the punishment, the leaders will disown their followers, and the bonds which now unite them will break asunder. Those who followed them will say, could we but live again, we would disown them as they have now disowned us. Thus Allah will show them their own works as source of regret to them, and they shall never come out of the fire. Men eat of what is lawful and wholesome on the earth, and do not walk in Satan or devil's footsteps, or he is your sworn enemy. He enjoins you to commit evil and this indecency and to assert about Allah what you do not know. When it is said to them, follow what Allah has revealed, they reply, we will follow that wherein we found our fathers, even though their fathers were senseless men lacking in guidance. The unbelievers are like that when one calls but hears nothing except a shout and a cry. Deaf, dumb, and blind, they understand nothing. O believers, eat of the wholesome things which which we have provided you, and give thanks to Allah if it is He whom you worship. He has forbidden you carry on blood and the flesh of swine, also any flesh that is consecrated other than in the name of Allah. But whoever is constrained to eat any of these, not intending to sin or transgress, incurs no guilt. Allah is forgiving and merciful. Though that suppress any part of the book Allah has revealed in order to gain a small price shall swallow nothing but fire into their bellies. On the day of resurrection, Allah will neither speak to them nor purify them. There shall be a woeful punishment. Such are those that they buy error with guidance and torture with forgiveness. How steadfastly they seek the fire. That is because Allah has revealed the book with the truth. Those that disagree about it are in extreme asceticism. Righteousness does not consist in whether you face toward the east or the west. The righteous man is he who believes in Allah and the last day, in the angels and the book and the prophets, who, for the love of Allah, gives his wealth to his kinsfolk, to the orphans, to the needy, to the wayfarers, and to the beggars, and for the redemption of captives, who attends to his prayers and pays the alms tax, who is true to his promises and steadfast in trial and adversity and in the times of war. Such are the true believers, such are the God fearing. O believers, retaliation is decreed for you in bloodshed, a free man for a free man, a slave for a slave, and a female for a female. He who is pardoned by his aggrieved brother shall be prosecuted according to usage and shall pay him a liberal fine. This is an alleviation from your Lord and mercy. He that transgresses thereafter shall have stern punishment. In retaliation, you have a safeguard for your lives. O men of understanding, perchance you will guard yourselves against evil. It is decreed that when death approaches, those of you that leave wealth shall bequeath it equitably to parents and kindred. This is a duty incumbent on the righteous. He that alters that the will after hearing it shall be accountable for his crime. Allah is hearing and Allah is knowing. He that suspects an error or an injustice on the part of a testator and brings about a settlement among the parties incurs no guilt. Allah is forgiving and merciful. O believers, fasting is decreed for you as it was decreed for those before you. Perchance you will guard yourselves against evil. Fast a certain number of days, but if any one of you is ill or on a journey, let him fast a similar number of days later on. And for those that find it extremely difficult to fast, there is ransom, the feeding of a poor man. He that does good of his own account shall be well rewarded, but to fast is better for you if you but knew it. The month of Ramadan is the month in which the Quran was revealed, a book of guidance with proofs of guidance, distinguishing right from wrong. Therefore, whoever of you is well in that month, let him fast. But he who is ill or on a journey shall fast a similar number of days later on. Allah desires you well being, not your discomfort. He desires you to fast the whole month so that you may magnify Him for giving you His guidance and that you may give thanks. When my servants question you about me, tell them that I am near. I answer the prayer of the suppliant when he calls to me. Therefore, let them answer my call and put their truth and trust in me, that they may be rightly guided. It is now lawful for you to lie with your wives on the night of the fast. They are apparel to you as you are an apparel to them. Allah knew that you were deceiving yourselves. He has relented towards you and pardoned you. Therefore, you may now lie with them and seek what Allah has ordained for you. Eat and drink until you can tell a white thread from a black one in the light of the coming dawn. Then resume the fast till nightfall, and do not approach them while you take to your mosques. These are the bounds set by Allah. Do not come near them. Thus He makes known His revelations to mankind that they may guard themselves against evil. Do not usurp one another's property by unjust means, nor bribe with it the judges in order that you may knowingly and wrongfully deprive others of a part of their possessions. They question you about the new moons. Say, they are times fixed for mankind and for the pilgrimage. Righteousness does not consist in entering your dwellings from the back. The righteous man is he that fears Allah. Enter your dwellings by their doors and fear Allah so that you may prosper. Fight for the sake of Allah those that fight against you, but do not be aggressive. Allah does not love the aggressors. Kill them wherever you find them. Drive them out of their places from which they drove you. Idolatry is worse than carnage, but do not fight them within the precincts of the sacred mosque unless they attack you. There, if they attack you, put them to the sword. Thus shall the believers be rewarded. Fight against them until idolatry is no more, and Allah's religion reigns supreme. But if they resist, fight none except the evildoers. A sacred month for a sacred month, sacred things too are subject to retaliation. If anyone attacks you, attack him as he attacked you. And fear of Allah, and know that Allah is with the righteous. Give for the cause of Allah, and do not with your own hands cast yourselves into destruction. Be charitable. Allah loves the charitable. Make the pilgrimage and visit the sacred mosque for Allah's sake. If you are prevented, send such offerings as you can afford, and do not slave your heads, and do not shave your heads until the offerings have reached their destination. But if any of you is ill or suffers from an ailment of the head, he must pay a ransom either by fasting or by almsgiving or by offering or by almsgiving or by offering a sacrifice. If in peacetime any one of you combines the visit with the pilgrimage, he must offer such gifts as he can afford, or but he lacks the means, let him fast 3 days during the pilgrimage and 7 when he has returned. That is 10 days in all. That is incumbent on him whose family are not present at the holy mosque. Have fear of Allah and know that He is stern in retribution. Pilgrimage is in the appointed months. He that intends to perform it in these months must abstain from sexual intercourse, obscene language, and acrimonious disputes while on pilgrimage. Allah is aware of whatever good is for you and you do. Provide yourselves well. Best provision is piety and fear. Then you are endowed with understanding. It shall be no offense for you to seek the bounty of your Lord. When you communing from Arafat, remember Allah as you approach the sacred monument. Remember Him that gave you guidance, though before that you were in error. Then go out from the place whence the pilgrims will go out and implore the forgiveness of Allah. He is forgiving and merciful. And when you have fulfilled your sacred duties, remember Allah as you remember your forefathers, or with deeper reverence. There are some who say, Lord, give us good in this world. These shall have no share in the hereafter. But there are others who say, Lord, give us what is good both in this world and in the next, and keep us from the fire of hell. These shall have a share of what they have earned. Swift is the reckoning of Allah, and give glory to Allah or on the appointed day. He that departs on the second day incurs no sin, nor does he who stays longer. If he truly fears Allah, have fear of Allah, then and know that you shall be all be gathered before Him. There are some men whose views on this life please you. They even call on Allah to vouch for that which is in their hearts, whereas in fact they are the deadliest of your opponents. No sooner they leave you than they hasten to commit evil in the land, destroying crops and cattle. Allah does not love evil. When it is said to them, have fear of Allah, vanity carries them off to sin. Hell shall be enough for them, a dismal resting place. But there are others who would give away their lives in order to find favor with Allah. Allah is compassionate to His servants. O believers, submit all of you to Allah and do not walk in Satan's footsteps. He is your sworn enemy. If you lapse back after the clear signs that have been shown to you, know that Allah is mighty and Allah is wise. Are they waiting for Allah to come down to them in the shadow of a cloud with all the angels? Their fate will have been settled then. To Allah shall all things return. Ask the children of Israel how many clear signs we have given them. He that tampers with the book of Allah after it has been bestowed on him shall be severely punished. Allah is stern in retribution. For the unbelievers, the life of this world is decked with all manner of temptations. They scoff at the faithful, but those that fear Allah shall be above them on the day of resurrection. Allah gives without measure to whom He will. Mankind were once one nation. Then Allah sent forth prophets to give them good news and to warn them. And with these He sent down the book with the truth, that it might judge the disputes of men. None disputed it save those to whom it was given after clear arguments had come to them, and that was through envy of one another. So Allah guided by His will those He believed in the truth, which had been disputed. Allah guides whom He will to the right path. Did you suppose that you would go to paradise untouched by the suffering which was endured by those before you? Affliction and adversity befell them, and so battered were they that they each apostle and those who shared his faith cried out, when will the help of Allah come? His help is ever near. They will ask you about alms giving. Say, whatever you bestow in charity must go to your parents and to your kinsfolk, to the orphan and to the poor man, and to the wayfarer. Allah is aware of whatever good you do. Fighting is obligatory for you, much as you dislike it. But you may hate a thing, although it is good for you, and love a thing, although it is bad for you. Allah knows, but you do not. They ask you about the sacred month. Say to fight in this month is a grave offense, but to debar others from the path of Allah, to deny Him, and to expel His worshippers from the holy mosque is far more grave in His sight. Adultery is worse than carnage. They will not cease to fight against you until they force you to renounce your faith if they are able. But whoever of you recants and dies an unbeliever, his works shall come to nothing in this world and in the world to come. Such men shall be the people of hell, and there they shall abide forever. those that have embraced the faith and those that have left their land and fought for the cause of Allah may hope for Allah's mercy. Allah is forgiving and merciful. They ask you about drinking and gambling. Say, there is great sin in both, although they have some benefit for men, but their sin is far greater than their benefit. They ask you what they should spend. Say what you can spare. Thus Allah makes plain to you His revelation so that you may reflect upon this word and the hereafter. They question you concerning orphans. Say, to deal justly with them is best. If you mix their affairs with yours, remember they are your brothers. Allah knows the truth from the unjust. If Allah pleased, He could afflict you. He is mighty and wise. You shall not wed adulteresses unless they embrace the faith. A believing slave girl is better than adulteress, although she may please you. Nor shall you wed adulterers unless they embrace the faith. A believing slave is better than an adulterer, although he may please you. These call to the fire, but Allah calls you by His will to paradise and to forgiveness. He makes plain His revelations to mankind so that they may be mindful. They ask you about menstruation. Say it is an indisposition. Keep aloof from women during their menstrual periods and do not touch them until they are clean again. Then have intercourse with them as Allah enjoined you. Allah loves those that turn to Him in repentance and purify themselves. Women are your fields. Go then into your fields as you please. Do good works and fear Allah. Bear in mind that you shall meet Him. Give good news to the believers. Do not make Allah in your oaths when you swear a hindrance to your doing good and fearing Allah and making peace among men. Allah is hearing and knowing. He will not call you to account for that which is vain in your oaths, but He will take you to task for that which is indeed in your hearts. Allah is forgiving and merciful. Those who swear not to go into their wives must wait 4 months. If they change their mind, Allah is forgiving and merciful. But if they decide to divorce them, know that He hears all and knows all. Divorced women must wait, keeping themselves from men 3 menstrual courses. It is unlawful for them, if they believe in Allah and the last day, to hide what He has created in their wombs, in which case their husbands would do well to take them back, should they desire reconciliation. Women shall with justice have rights similar to those exercised against them, although men have a status above women. Allah is mighty and wise. Divorce may be pronounced twice, and then a woman must be retained in honor or allowed to go with kindness. It is unlawful for husbands to take from them anything they have given them, unless both fear that they may not be able to keep within the bounds set by Allah, in which case it shall be no offense for either of them if the wife ransom herself. These are the bounds set by Allah. Do not transgress them. Those that transgress the bounds of Allah are wrongdoers. If a man divorces his wife, he cannot remarry her until she has wedded another man and been divorced by him, in which case it shall be no offense for either of them to return to the other. If they think that they can keep within the limits set by Allah, such are the bounds of Allah. He makes them plain to men of understanding. When you have divorced your wives and they have reached the end of their waiting period, earlier either retain them in honor or let them go with kindness. But you shall not retain them in order to harm them or to wrong them. Whoever does this wrongs his own soul. Do not make fun of Allah's revelations. Remember the favors He has bestowed upon you, and the book and the wisdom which He has revealed for your instruction. Fear Allah and know that He has knowledge of all things. If a man has divorced his wife and she has reached the end of her waiting period, do not prevent her from remarrying her husband if they have come to an honorable agreement. This is adjoined on every one of you who believes in Allah and the last day. It is more honorable for you and more chaste. Allah knows that you do not. Mothers shall give suck to their children for 2 whole years for him who wishes the suckling to be completed. They must be maintained and clothed in a reasonable manner by the father of the child. None should be charged with more than one can bear. A mother should not be allowed to suffer on account of her child, nor should a father on account of his child. The same duties devolve upon the fathers here. But if after consultation they choose by mutual consent to wean the child, they shall incur no guilt, nor shall it be any offense for you if you prefer to have a nurse for your children, provided that you pay her what you promise according to usage. Have fear of Allah and know that He is cognizant of all your actions. And those of you who die and leave wives behind, such wives should keep in waiting for 4 months and 10 days, and their husband's death. After their husband's death, when they have reached the end of their waiting period, it shall be no offense for you to let them do whatever they choose for themselves, provided that it is lawful. Allah is cognizant of what you do. It shall be no offense for you openly to propose marriage indirectly to such women or to cherish them in your hearts. Allah knows that you will remember them. Do not arrange to meet them in secret, and if you do, speak to them honorably, but you shall not consummate the marriage before the end of their waiting period. Know that Allah has knowledge of all your thoughts. Therefore, take heed and bear in mind that Allah is forgiving and merciful. It shall be no offense for you to divorce your wives before the marriage is consummated or the dowry settled. Provide for them with fairness, the rich man according to his means, and the poor man according to his. This is binding on righteous men. If you divorce them before the marriage is consummated, but after their dowry has been settled, give them half of their dowry, unless they or the man in whose hand is the marriage lie agree to forego it. But it is more pious that he should forego it. Do not forget to show kindness to each other. Allah observes your actions. Attend regularly to your prayers, including the middle prayer, and stand up with all devotion before Allah. When you are exposed to danger, pray on foot or while riding. When you are restored to safety, remember Allah as He has taught you what you did not know. Those who die and leave women behind should bequeath to them a year's maintenance without causing them to leave their homes. But if they leave of their own accord, no blame shall be attached to you or for any legitimate course that may deem fit to pursue. Allah is mighty and wise. Reasonable provision should also be made for divorced women. That is incumbent on righteous men. Thus Allah makes known to you His revelations that you may understand. Have you not considered those that fled the country in thousands for fear of death? Allah said to them, "You shall perish." And then He brought them back to life. Surely Allah is bountiful to mankind, but most men do not give thanks. Fight for the cause of Allah and bear in mind that He hears all and knows all. Who will grant Allah a generous loan? He will repay him many times over. It is Allah who enriches and makes poor. To Him you shall all return. Have you not thought of what the leaders of the children of Israel demanded of one of their prophets after the death of Prophet Moses? Raise up for us a king, they said, and we will fight for the cause of Allah. He replied, "What if you refuse to fight?" When he ordered so to do, they should, why should we refuse to fight for the cause of Allah? They replied, when we and all our children have been driven from our dwellings. But when at last they were ordered to fight, they all refused except a few of them. Allah knows the evildoers. Their prophet said to them, Allah has raised Saul to be your king. But they replied, should he be given the kingship when we are more deserving of it than he? Besides, he is not rich at all. He said, Allah has chosen him to rule over you and made him grow in wisdom and in stature. Allah gives his sovereignty to whom he will. He is magnificent and all knowing. Their prophet also said to them, the advent of ark shall be the portent of his reign. Therein shall be tranquility from your Lord, and the relics which the house of Musa and the house of Harun left behind, it will be borne by the angels. That will be a sign for you if you are true believers. And when Saul marched out with his army, he said, Allah will put you to the proof at a certain river. He that drinks from it shall cease to be one of my followers, but he that does not drink from it shall be among my followers, except he who takes a handful from it in his hand. But they all drank from it, except a few of them. And when Saul had crossed the river with those who shared his faith, they said, we have no power this day against Goliath and his warriors. But those of them who believed that they would meet Allah on day of judgment replied, many a small band Has my Allah's grace vanquished a majority army? Allah is with steadfast. When they met Goliath and his warriors, they cried, Lord, fill our hearts with steadfastness, make us firm on foot, and help us against the unbelievers. By Allah's will, they routed them. Daud slew Goliath, and Allah bestowed on him sovereignty and wisdom and taught him what he pleased. Had Allah not defeated some by the might of others, the earth would have been utterly corrupted. But Allah is bountiful to His creature. Such are the revelations of Allah. We recite them to you in all truth, for you are one of our messengers. ज़मीर यूनिवर्सल टेलीविजन को सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें, उसके बाद बेल बटन पे क्लिक करें और अपने कमेंट्स के सेक्शन में अपने कीमती जो ख्यालात का इजहार ज़रूर